Welcome to the Travel Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Aylin Blanco. I interview successful industry professionals and share my personal journey to becoming a travel agent. The show is for aspiring travel agents and travel professionals at every level. My mission is to uncover the universal keys to thrive in this business. Join me as I take a closer look into the life of a travel agent. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Travel Agent Podcast. Today, we have another fantastic guest, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, Lynn. Thanks for having me. My name is Stephanie Cannon, and I am the owner and founder of SC Travel Design. So I have been a travel advisor for just over 15 years now. Celebrated my 15th anniversary in June. So that was like really exciting, right? But prior to becoming an advisor, I worked in the financial industry. So I'm a CPA. I no longer practice, worked in public accounting, worked in the corporate world as a financial analyst and budgeting analyst. The two worlds to me kind of didn't mesh, But when you look at finances and you think travel, totally worlds apart, but just got burnt out. And here I am in the travel world.
Awesome. So I asked all of my guests, how did you get started?
So like many, I'm sure I've heard lots of stories from advisors over the last 15 plus years. And so many just love to travel themselves. They have that travel bug, the itch to just go do something different, find something new, explore. And that was totally me. And after my first international trip many, many years ago, I was literally hooked and have not been able to push it aside. The pandemic has kind of hurt my feelings. Because we love to travel so much in all these places that we really, really want to go to that just aren't open or available for us at the time.
So what is something, because you did just hit 15 years, what is something you wish you would have known when you first started?
Oh my gosh, what didn't I wish I knew? It's really, really hard to pick one thing because there were so many and they all came together to help me to get to where I am today. So I really think, and this is probably not a common answer that you hear, but the answer of really knowing myself, what it is that I truly, truly want in this business and my life. And a lot of people kind of skim by that. And then just sitting back and not overthinking it, but let it come to me through different signs and different things I hear. And all of that has really helped to shape me to get out of the chronic overthinking and just allow whatever's going to happen happens. Let all this flow in and take it for what it's worth. And that's really the biggest thing, especially through the pandemic. That was a crucial part of me being able to weather through, where we are today.
I love that so much because I think a lot of times when I ask that question, people kind of give the typical answers, but it's so important to know who you are because that's how you build your business to fit who you are and make it so it's flexible to change as you grow. So I love that answer.
Yay.
One of the questions that I like to ask when people switch careers is how did your financial background kind of feed into the transition to travel?
Okay, so I'm going to be fully transparent here because in the beginning, it did not. I was so burnt out from the financial side that I didn't want to think about it, didn't want to look at it. No, I'm going to go a completely different direction and I just want to sell travel. And I quickly realized getting into it that, okay, well, wait a minute, you still have to do these things because now you're running a business. But honestly, the initial transition was not me laying out a full financial plan for this travel business and then executing the plan.
So what do you feel like you've gained the most from working in the travel industry?
It's the connections, the camaraderie, the support, the eye-opening. So many people have come into my world since being in finance, moving into travel that are not always the analytical thinkers. I was so overburdened by do this, it's by the numbers. And I'm not saying that's not a great way to operate. There's more to it. And it took me moving into the travel industry to really embrace that and let the 100% analytical kind of go and fade away a little bit and lean in to the more, not just creative, but the more openness and the abundant thinking.
So I want to kind of go back because one of the questions I usually ask is what is something you failed at in the beginning and then you're a rock star now? And I kind of want to go back to that financial background because you said that, you didn't even really think about it in the beginning, but you realized quickly that it's something that you had to implement. So what does that look like today?
There's a lot of pieces to it, but the one thing that became very apparent is what I learned in my undergraduate, my master's program, and even in working in public accounting. It's not the same things as what you do inside your business. The public accounting world is the things that people look at from the outside, the things you file, and put together for your taxes, or if you're a larger business and you're looking for loans and financing. Of course, they want to see your financials. These are just all the reports based on the transactions that happen in your business that are needed in order for you to meet these minimum requirements. But they don't set you up to run your day-to-day business. So it took me creating lots of spreadsheets, lots of processes, and really figuring out what were those key things beyond my bookkeeping that I needed to have in place in order to really grow to where I wanted to be. And it took some time because, like I said, this isn't taught in business school, in accounting. It's more for the big corporate world, which is very, very different from running a small business.
So what are some tools that you use that help you along the way?
So the biggest one for me, and a lot of people kind of skip over this, is creating forecasts and projections. So that's my biggest one. And, I update that almost monthly. And really the projection I'm looking for is the money side, like the cash in my bank account, and also knowing what I'm already committed to that I need to use that cash for, or make sure I hold on to that cash to be able to pay my obligations going forward. And that became super apparent when the pandemic hit, right? For a lot of people. So that became my number one tool. And I'll be completely honest, I used it for us personally as well. And it helped my husband and I pay off over $20,000 in debt, since the pandemic started, which is crazy because no extra income, like mine completely disappeared other than the few people that kind of got in before everything shut down. And then the few that trickled in after things just started opening up. But knowing where your cash is and what you have and what you're projected to have based on what you know today was super, super critical for me.
You've been in this industry 15 years. What is a piece of advice that you would give someone who wants to start in this business?
Oh, okay. Don't try to tackle all the things at once. Figure out what you're passionate about and really just start with that. And don't try to sell everything to every person. And I know we hear this a lot, but niching down really helps me as well. It helped elevate what I was bringing in commissions. It helped elevate my commission per booking, and it wasn't working as hard to get those because I knew what I wanted to focus on and I knew what brought in the most. And then another piece too that I think is really, really critical is you have to know your numbers. It doesn't mean you have to know all of your numbers, but you need to figure out which ones are the right ones for you and implement those and monitor them regularly in your business.
Well, thank you so much. You've given us so much information. Is there anything that you think is really important that I didn't ask already?
Ooh. No, you've asked some really, really great questions. I just think for newer people starting out, it can seem really, really overwhelming. And I was overwhelmed. I was brand new to the travel industry in the sense that I was planning vacations for other people, not myself, not booking my business trips like when I worked in the corporate world. So there's a different way you approach that when, you're working for somebody else versus like your own stuff. You take a little more care and a little more time, and you're probably more thorough, and it can get overwhelming. And I found for a long, long time, I didn't even realize I was doing this until somebody pointed out to me, and they actually pointed it out not too long ago. But the overwhelm comes in when you're at step 0 or step 1 and you're trying to immediately go to the top of the staircase. And there's all these things and like your list is just overflowing. So you freeze and you don't do any of them. But the only way you get to the top of the steps is to go up one step at a time. So you have to figure out what that step is.
That's such great advice. And I think you're absolutely right. In the beginning, we kind of talked about a lot of people get into this industry because they like to travel, but people are always extremely shocked to find out how I travel. I like to fly by the wings of my, the wings of my pants. I don't know if that's right, but whatever. I'll book someplace I've never been and I will go and I won't have a plan and I will just figure it out. And that's how I like to travel. But obviously, if someone is coming to you, that is not how they want their vacation to go. So you really
Exactly.
have to kind of take yourself out of it. And like you said, just go one step at a time and truly just kind of figure out what brings you joy.
Yes, that's exactly it. Because when you're not happy in your business, you're not happy in your life. And when you're not happy in your life, then your sense of peace and well-being is greatly diminished.
And that is like the perfect way to end this episode. If you didn't hear that, play that one more time. That is nothing but the truth. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I always like to end with, is there anything personal or professional that you have coming up that you are super excited about?
So there's always things coming up, right? Like we never sit still, but professionally, I have started offering some workshops to help advisors know their numbers, love their numbers, and not feel like that they have to be the expert to be able to do it. So those will be filtering out gradually over time. And the big one, and I think this is really, really important, regardless of when wave season may normalize again, we're not quite sure what that looks like right now, but I will be hosting a goal planning, a financial planning workshop, a really, really in-depth one, and teach people how to put it together, what it looks like, what to do with it, and then how to roll that into their marketing plan. Now, we're not going to cover the marketing. There's plenty of people in our industry that help with marketing, but at least you know what you're shooting for, and then you can roll into that and be prepared for 2022 and 23.
Well, definitely let me know when that happens because we will have you back on the show. Well, thank you again and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining the Travel Agent Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Visit thetravelagentpodcast.com for more information about today's episode and other travel agent resources. Be sure to tune in every Thursday for new episodes. Until next time, continue to build a travel business you love.